If you could choose any ABBA track to be released in its earlier, more demo-like version, which would you choose? Mine would be Summer Night City, just because there are so many different mixes in the vaults, and I'd like to hear what the issue was with the earlier ones. Yeah, great question. There are so many good examples. Summer Night City, I agree. The final mix is very compressed. The earlier mixes are more dynamic. And the earlier mixes, this comes from the book from Carl Magnus Palm. He describes the earlier mixes as a more dynamic. You can hear different instruments that you just don't hear in the final mix. That would be very, very interesting to hear. Summer Night City, early mix. But also, like there's an early version of Eagle, which I think Carl Magnus Palm describes as like a campfire version, with all four members of ABBA singing and being more acoustic. That would be very interesting to hear. And then I think there is a... Let me quickly check. If I don't... Yeah. There is an early mix of Me and I think there are so many early mixes of ABBA songs that are, according to the descriptions by Carl Magnus Palm, that must be so fascinating to hear. And there is one of Me and I, is an early mix where you can hear laughter. And apparently that laughter sounds very much like Michael Tretow. He's giggling through the song here and there. I think it's even known, it's never released of course, but it's known as the Me and I, the laughter version. It probably depicts the schizophrenic thematic of the song very well, I guess. And could you imagine? And if it was Michael B. Tretow, wow, that would be one of the very few cases where we have an ABBA studio recording that has other voices apart from ABBA. Michael B. Tretow, if he's the one laughing. But anyway, that's one of the versions. Eagle, Summer Night City. Yeah, if we speak about earlier, more demo-like versions, like even from the earlier years, Bang-A-Boomerang, the early full version. It was an alternate recording. Then they changed it, changed the arrangement, changed some of the melodies. The early full version of Dancing Queen is quite obvious. Very often they truncated the songs. They shortened them to make it into the final version. So in many cases the early versions are longer, just longer here and there, which is interesting in and of itself already. And then there is I would also be very curious about that first version of The Winner Takes It All, which was sung by Björn in French lyrics, French dummy lyrics probably. They vetoed the release of that demo version. Wanted to release it in 1994, but Benny felt that it would embarrass the song. And once again, I think the contrary is the case, especially in an early version like that. The Winner Takes It All, sang by Björn with French lyrics. It's a fascinating example of how it started and what kind of a masterful song we got at the end. The Winner Takes It All by ABBA. Agnieszka's vocal performance, the lyrics. So early versions, early songs, demos like that would always be very, very fascinating to hear for me. My question would be, what do you think of Just Like That? And is it your favorite unreleased ABBA song? Or is there another unreleased song, leaked or not, you would love to be released? That's very interesting. Because it's also very hard to answer. Is it your favorite unreleased ABBA song? Or is there another unreleased song you would... Because they are unreleased, so I wouldn't know. And Just Like That is one of the very few ones that got leaked, is out on bootlegs. Which also, in my opinion, should make it easier to say, all right, it's already out there on bootlegs in inferior quality. Let's make it official. Here's a good quality version of it, in my opinion, but I don't criticize Annie's decision not wanting to release it. What I think of Just Like That is, so like we have 3 versions and only one of them, the final version, the sax version, is in the archives and is the final mix. And the other versions, the slow version and the na-na-na version, those 2 are work in progress, like unfinished. They were put on cassette tapes to be sent to the saxophonist to play with a song and to create ideas for it. But my favorite version of Just Like That is the very first one, the slow version. Oh, it's beautiful. And it's a beautiful song. That's my opinion on Just Like That. And is it your favorite unreleased ABBA song? I wouldn't know. I think it is a very strong song. And it feels good to know that I am backed by the opinion of Agneta, for example. She mentioned it's one of her favorites. So I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. It's a very good song, in my opinion. But I think there are so many things, recordings and songs and sessions in the archives, which we know from Carl Magnus Palm's book, The Complete Recording Sessions, which would be so intriguing to hear. Like between the Lycka album from Björn and Benny and ABBA's first album, Ring Ring, they recorded so many songs for a follow-up album to Lycka. Lycka Volume 2, basically. And you could take all those unreleased songs and it would be a full album. There are so many Björn and Benny songs between Lycka and Ring Ring with Agneta and Frida, which are just unreleased in the archives. And I'm so fascinated, thrilled with the early years of ABBA, with the Ring Ring sessions. I really enjoy that period as well. That I think there's so much, and as I said, there's basically an entire album that you could put out, the follow-up to Lycka, which are just so many unreleased songs, in Swedish, of course. But then you have other songs, like from 79, there are 2 songs that ABBA recorded after Voulez-Vous, the Voulez-Vous sessions, which are called Lady Bird and The Wind Cries Mary. And then there's another one. Let me just check for this. And it's a Swedish title. This one is called, also from the end of 78, Näm de Fjärden. It's a demo instrumental hymn which Benny played on his Polymoog. And Lady Bird is described as a beautiful ballad compared to the style of One Man, One Woman or Slipping Through My Fingers. And then there is also a complete 1979 live rehearsal show, which ABBA recorded live in the studio. And this one is not only a live tour rehearsal for 79, this one has songs they never performed live again. For example, The King Has Lost His Crown, My Love, My Life, and even a version of One Man, One Woman. Can you imagine those songs live in the studio on that tour rehearsal tape? That would be incredible. But you never know if there is something else, somewhere else, stored away. So, a very hard question to answer, but I hope I got some examples. Do you think ABBA will release Monsieur, Monsieur or other demos in the future? I think they were happy with Monsieur, Monsieur, as it was used behind an interview with Agneta. It's kind of already been left out of the walls. Agneta's vocals are sublime from what we can hear under the interview. Yeah, we talked about on several occasions now about unreleased songs, recordings, about ABBA's archives and the possibility that they would release something. I'm positive about that. One day there will be more. But in the case of Monsieur, Monsieur, Yeah, it did leave the vaults, but the really curious thing now is the fact that, according to the book of Carl Magnus Palm, The Complete Recording Sessions, Monsieur, and all of those songs that were broadcast on that radio special, there were a few other demos, are not available in the archives any longer. And we just don't know where they are and why which is really strange. So we have they did let something out of the archives as for this radio special, but that one is not available any longer in the archives. Monsieur. It's very unfortunate. But it might be somewhere. I'm sure it is somewhere else. And I would like to know, what do you think of it? Let me know in the comments below. Alright, until then, hey do!